Hi, this is Andy McWayne. It's sort of a convergence, so I thought I would make this video. Have to make it for a couple friends, and I thought I would just make a public version and put it on YouTube because it's actually a really powerful function of indie publishing right now is the ability to put out a pre-order book. So this is Kindle, so you need to have an account, obviously, with kdp.amazon.com. Set up a Kindle publishing account, and they allow even indie authors, indie publishers, to put out a book on 90 days notice, and you just need a few pieces. A few components to be able to do that. Generally a Mobi file, which is the interior of the book. It doesn't necessarily have to be the final version. It's good if it's close because you're starting a 90-day countdown. You need a cover image of some sort, high res, and then you also need a product description or the blurb. So let's take a quick look at how to set up a pre-order, and hopefully this will help you get a book launched today. All right, so the first thing is whether or not you want to enroll in KDP Select or not. This is essentially Amazon's exclusive program, meaning that if your book is exclusive to Kindle and the Amazon platform, that you'll actually have these benefits. You'll have higher royalties in a couple different countries. It's still the 70% royalties in most of their platforms. There are Kindle Unlimited borrowing programs in a number of different countries, which you can be part of. And then you also have promotional tools. You can place your book on price countdowns where, it's for a handful of days it's $1.99, then it's $2.99, then it's $4.99. And you can also put your book on free promotions. So what I've generally been doing, because Amazon's platform is so wide, 13 countries to start with, and then obviously people in a lot of other countries can buy your books just through the U.S. store. I generally start all my ebooks in KDP Select, and then if they are getting a lot of borrows, I leave them there. If they're not, then I actually go wide and start to publish on Apple, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Kobo, Scribd, and other places. But don't worry about any of that today. Just Amazon, 90 days, start here, ebook only, and then KDP Select. So first we need a book title, and we'll call this, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, you can still do these pre-orders. Great, amazing book. And then if the subtitle is, don't doubt it. So basically the way this looks on Amazon, this is the title of the book, and then there'll be a colon, and then whatever you actually put here should actually be the exact subtitle. It's generally it's generally smart to have the subtitle appear on the cover image. So if it doesn't actually appear on the cover image, don't use this spot for keyword stuffing. If you actually want to have a subtitle in your book, then make sure it's part of the artwork as well. So you don't need the colon. But so great, amazing book, history of finance. How about this? Okay, and then if it's part of a series, check this box and say, personal finance, and then if it's volume 1, you can do that sort of thing. If it's not part of the series, just leave that unchecked, and then it's fine. If it's a new edition of a book that already exists, and you want to actually distinguish that, you can put that here. I've never used that, especially for an ebook. I do make edition marks inside the book, and every time I update it, I just actually change like version 1, version 1.1, version 2, etc. If you have a publisher name or a publisher imprint, this doesn't necessarily have to be a separate registered company. This could be something under the umbrella of something that you're already doing. So we'll call this like amazing book media, history of finance books, history of whatever. If you actually have a publishing company already, then obviously put it in here. If you don't, it's not actually a bad idea to just make up an imprint, so that if you do a number of books, then they have that similarity, and that'll show up in the that'll actually show up underneath in the product listing. Okay, so now the description is pretty important, and as you can see, you have 4,000 characters. It's a really small box. I highly suggest writing this elsewhere. It can actually be part of the introduction of the book if you want. And a quick little tip is that anything you put inside, you don't have to know HTML to do this, but if you actually put something inside this /H2 title, I can't even spell title. If you actually put some shout out title, it doesn't have to be the title of the book. It could actually be just the title of the description. Do you want to learn more about, use your best copywriting. You're basically trying to convince someone to buy your book. So, but if you have a headline like that, and then you actually have some text in here, what you'll find when this appears on Amazon is that this actually appears in the large orange typeface that you see, the header bold font that you see all over Amazon, and without a break. So basically starting immediately on the next line. There will still actually be a break because of the H2 size of the font, but then your paragraphs can actually start right here. It's possible to get really, really fancy with this. The more you write, the better in terms of keywords and whatever. But realize this is essentially sales copy. So give this a fair amount of thought. And then book contributors. So I'll put my name in here if I'm writing this book, and then I choose author. You can add editors, you can add introductions, narrators, photographer, preface, translator, any of that. It's also entirely possible to just add those people either to the cover on the inside of the book and to just put the author's name there. So if you do have other people that you want to list, but you don't want to complicate the header part of the title, then you don't need to add that. So I'll just put that back in so that we can see it. Hannah McQueen, author, save, and you can see that it shows up here. Assuming that it's in English, but you can obviously release ebooks in other languages. I actually have a title that's been doing well that we just had translated into Spanish, and we have a Spanish edition that's out. So that make sure you choose that correctly. If you already have an ISBN number, you can actually put that in here. If you don't, it's optional. Don't worry about it. If it's not a public domain work, then you're choosing this because it's original and you hold the necessary rights. If it is public domain, you can still publish on Amazon, but they want it to be unique with annotations and whatnot. So that's for a separate video. So let's assume. So now the next part is that you actually want to put your book into a couple categories on Amazon that help readers find it. You actually only get to choose 2. Although with keywords you can end up in more than one list. This is important for discoverability. So I'll go to business and economics. We basically said that this is a personal finance book. So let's see what we have for categories. So I'll go into personal finance and I'll say this is about money management. Now you see I'm in this. I'm basically saying I want my book to show up in this category, and now I can try to find another category that I think makes sense. Maybe here finance. if you pick wildly different categories, it's actually really useful, as long as it makes sense, obviously, for your book. But if you pick really different categories, it's actually helpful to maybe rank in a couple different areas. But you get the idea. Let's see. All right, so let's choose business writing. So as you can see, I'm still under the heading of business and economics. There's a personal finance area. But what if this is money management for musicians, right? So for those people watching from the Make Money Online with Your Music group, so I go under music. I can only choose two, so I have to keep one of these out, and then maybe I'll do this. So it's personal finance, money management, and then it's also music, business aspects of music. So I'll say, okay, great, I like those two categories. That makes sense. Great, amazing book about it's so easy to change all these things. Yeah, doesn't matter. You get the idea. I can make changes. Obviously, that needs to match the cover of the cover image of my book. So then age range is useful either if you're publishing something like a children's book and you want to be very specific about who it's for, or if it has if it's mature audiences, either with language or content, you can make it age 18 plus. You also have grade range. This is I generally leave this blank unless it's because it's optional, but unless it's a children's book project or specifically an adult project, you can actually generally leave that blank. So this is a very powerful area. You have 7 keywords, and they can be strings. They don't have to be. They can be 7 key phrases. So personal finance, musicians' money, music business, budgets. You get the idea, and it keeps showing me right here 3 keywords left. You want to fill this out. You can obviously change this later if it's not working. These categories can actually help. I mean, these keywords can actually help you get into other categories that you're not already listed in with those 2 choices you made above. So this is usually worth browsing around on Amazon to see what books similar to yours, what categories they're in. You get the idea. Maybe I'll just fill this up. So royalties, indie publishing, and I'll just put music all together. All right, so I'm ready to release my book now. That's generally how it was for a long time on Amazon, although the big publishers always had the ability to do pre-orders. Amazon lets us do that now, so make my book available for pre-order. This is pretty amazing. I'm recording this April 6th. As you can see, they'll let me release this book 90 days out. I could say, let's make this book available July 6th. And then, as you can see, partly because they want to make sure that we don't miss this deadline, the final version of that book is due on June 26th. So 10 days before the book goes live, 10 days before the book is actually delivered to customers. It will actually go live in 24 hours or so after this process. 10 days before it actually gets delivered to customers, it's actually due in its final form. So here's where you actually upload your cover image. So the interesting thing about this, and my suggestion is, of course, it's April. You might say, well, I only really need, let me say, like, be very specific, like I only need a month and a half or something like that, whatever. You can always pull this date forward. You could just never push it back. So if I decided that I was going to launch this for July, and then in 2 weeks I feel pretty much ready to go. I can pull it forward and probably make my book come out in, you know, 6 business days. So I always suggest that you kick it out on the calendar, because you can always tighten it up after. So if you think you need 60 days, just use the full 90. It's for sale the whole time. People can pre-order it. They don't get charged until it's actually delivered, and you can you get the momentum of seeing those pre-orders in there. Now, if you need a cover image, you'd obviously need a cover image, but we assume that's already done. That's a separate discussion. You hit browse for image, pick something off your desktop. I really don't suggest using Amazon's cover creator. I think there are a lot of better ways on the web, but that's a separate topic. You can check out the site, my site, youneedabook.com. We have some pre-made covers there where you just swap out the text. There are a lot of different ways to make your own covers or hire someone, or a lot of cheap ways too. So just make sure you upload a cover for the pre-order process, because otherwise you don't want a holder file for that. And then you get to make a decision about digital rights management. A lot of people leave this off because they want the books to travel. The theft of ebooks, I think, that's a bigger topic, but generally I leave it off. And then it's going to ask me to save the information so far, which is the title of the book and all that. Then this is the final version of my book, which it doesn't need to be, so I never check that until that 10-day deadline. So if this is a draft manuscript, you know, then I would click here, and then I would upload my file. I generally suggest that you use, you know, one of the ebook files like Mobi. I think you can use EPUBs and Word and RTFs and all that stuff or whatever. But my workflow is I use Scrivener and then just dump a Mobi file. Just export a Mobi file. So what I would do is have a JPEG cover image, high res, and a book Mobi file, and then this page would be done. It won't actually let me walk to the next page to show you the pricing, but literally the pricing is just all territories. You choose whether you want to be in all territories or not, and if it's a original release, you might as well be in the entire world. And then you set a price. $2.99 to $9.99 is 70% royalties worldwide, and then anything below or above that is 35% royalties. I suggest that you stay in the $2.99 to $9.99 because Amazon really knows what works. And then you have a couple other boxes to choose about matching a paperback book if you have one. We'll assume you don't, since this is pre-order. And then you know, and then you check a couple more boxes and submit your book for pre-order. You know, and what will happen is within 24 to 36 hours, your book cover image, your interior Mobi file or your interior text file, which no one will be able to see. There's no look inside with pre-orders, and your product description with a price, with your author name, will appear on a new Amazon page. They'll assign you an ASIN, the Amazon identifying number. It'll show up in your on your bookshelf as one of your list of books. And then once it's actually live, what it means is, even though it's on pre-order, your book isn't in the final version yet, it hasn't been delivered, but now anytime between now and the 90-day period when the book actually launches, Amazon can actually take orders for your book. So if it's, you know, $2.99, $3.99, by customers choosing to pre-order your book, they won't be billed until it's delivered, but they're agreeing that they'd like a copy of your book on the day that it comes out, which is kind of a nice process. I've done the pre-order probably 6 or 7 times, and with one of the books we ended up with, you know, again, still small, modest numbers, but 16 or 17 pre-orders, which was nice to have that on the very first day. All right, so hopefully this is helpful, and if you have any questions, check out youneedabook.com or the You Need a Book Facebook group, or just you can reach me over at theandymcwayne.com. All right, have a great day. Thanks.